for the cookies. And one of the things I've been talking about is when I use frosting, if you're going to use food coloring, do not use food coloring. Food coloring leaves a taste, it leaves a film. I personally don't like it when I cook and I make frostings. And one of the things I use, I'm trying to find the lid, is Wilton. You can find these at Michael's. You can find these at any craft store. And this one is No Taste Red. I don't want to leave a taste for people. This is No Taste Kelly Green. I will be using these two colors in my cookies color. There's yellow. I mean, you can buy any color you want, but I would strongly suggest that you buy the food. It's a gel. It's not a food coloring. It's a gel, and it does not leave a film or a taste in your mouth. So these are the cookies. This is what they look like when they came out. And I don't know if you've ever, I live in Florida, so if you've ever been to Publix and you taste their sugar cookies that are snowball and they're super soft and everyone takes them to work and they're like, these are super amazing. Well, that's exactly what these cookies taste like. So let's make the icing together. We use, again, we use milk in this recipe as well. Use a half cup of milk. One teaspoon of vanilla. Again, I use my Pampered Chef. Calls for clear vanilla. I keep forgetting to buy clear vanilla, so I just use the regular vanilla. I hate that. 1 cup of shortening. I always, instead of buying the Crisco shortening where I have to measure it, I just go ahead and buy these sticks. They're easy to use, pretty much no mess. I was talking to my daughter because I make so many things. We like to eat a lot of things homemade because my husband is diabetic and my daughter is trying to watch her sugars. And today she made homemade bread and it tasted absolutely amazing. So we may make that for you guys if she and I were talking about it. Now, I did melt some butter and you only use a little bit of butter for flavoring, just so you get a butter flavor. Right now I'm using a half a teaspoon and I will taste it once I mix everything together to see if I want a little bit more. Told you I'm fumbly bumbly. And you use a whole thing of confectionery sugar. Now I will tell you, my other sugars and my flour, I'm very picky on what I use. I live in Florida. I just use a Publix brand. You can buy these. A lot of times they'll have them buy one, get one free. And you use a whole container. Just throw it in there. I got 2 because sometimes you can add more or less confectionery sugar depending on how you want to make your frosting. And I always like to clean up as I go. I cannot stand when I'm done cooking to have a dirty kitchen. It just absolutely drives me bonkers. Oh, here it is. Here's the container I got. The wilting icing colors. These don't leave a flavor, a yucky flavor. And a lot of times when I'm making my cookies, I will go ahead and keep the parchment paper because I always like to freeze my cookies to seal in the moisture. And I use the parchment paper instead of wasting it. Go ahead and reuse it. It's still good. I put it between the cookies, I throw them in the freezer, and voila, next morning my husband grabs them and he's going to take them to work. Now I will tell you this, the cookies are done. This is what they look like when they come out. And a lot of times people will look at them and go, they're not done. They are done. And I will tell you, leaving cookies on a cookie sheet, they will continue to bake. So do not do that. Bottom. unless you want cookies to continue to bake. They will harden up on their own. So one recipe makes a bunch of cookies. Let me get these off the pan. Ouch. I want to get them off the cookie sheet so they don't continue to bake. One of the things I love to absolutely do, and a lot of times I have a stressful job, I'll come home and bake just because it's a stress release. I make a lot of things homemade, and people say, well, homemade takes longer to make. Not really. You get a better taste, you get a better flavor, you know what's going into it. I had an ADHD son, so when I was raising him, when I was raising my son, a lot of times the doctor said, hey, don't use food coloring or dyes. So that's when I really started baking and really making things homemade. I prefer homemade to store-bought. That's just me. You can control the ingredients. Like I said, we will be making homemade bread, and I will show you guys that. It's a 5-ingredient homemade bread, and it tastes really delicious. And I apologize for stepping away. I had to get the cookies off the cookie sheet. Like I said, when you're done baking the cookies, you have the parchment paper. I like to use the parchment paper because I go ahead and put them in a container. So I just reuse the parchment paper. Instead of tearing off new parchment paper, just use the one you used to bake with. And I put it in between the cookies. And you just mix these ingredients till they're nice and smooth. And I will tell you the ingredients again. For those who are just tuning in, I use a half cup of milk. I use a teaspoon of vanilla, preferably if you have it, clear vanilla. 1 cup of shortening. I buy the Crisco shortening. It comes in instead of buying the big tub. It's just, for me, it's a whole lot easier. It's a whole lot less messy. And butter for flavor only. So I start out with a half a teaspoon of butter just for flavoring. Mix it all together. I'm going to use some food coloring. Not food coloring. I'm going to use some gel coloring. No taste when I ice the cookies. So sometimes it takes a little bit to mix this together. You want it nice and smooth. And I will show you what it looks like before I put it in the containers to start making color with it. This is my KitchenAid mixer. I use Pampered Chef. I absolutely love Pampered Chef. My second batch of cookies, while I'm letting this go, my daughter was telling me when I put it in the oven, she was telling me about a horrific accident involving a child, a mother, and I forgot to set the timer because I was just so ingrained into the conversation. Guys, please slow down. Just take your time. Arrive home safe. Your loved ones want to see you. Your loved ones want to be with you. My daughter, when I got home from work tonight, she was telling me a story. It was a very sad story. And funny thing is, she goes, Mom, the lady was super old. And I was like, the lady was super old? She goes, she was, Mom. She was just an old lady. I said, well, how old was she? She goes, oh, she was probably 60. I said, do you realize I'm 60 years old? Are you calling me super old? Oh, no, 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 no. No, Mom, I'm not calling you super old. I'm like, that's okay. You can call me super old. If you like this and you want to see more of my homemade cooking videos, go ahead and like and subscribe. I'd appreciate that. The key to this is the shortening. The key to the cookies is the nutmeg. And you put shortening in that. I'm going to show you what this looks like. This is the frosting. This is the icing. And I'm going to go ahead and taste it because I want to see if I need to add more powdered sugar to it. I apologize for being fumbly and bumbly. I'm not one of the most smoothest people. I guess I'll learn as I go. I was talking to one of my girl friends at the office today, and let's see what this tastes like. If it's not good, you'll see it on my face. If it's good, sweet. I need some more powdered sugar. And I think I want to put some more butter in it because I want more of a buttery taste. Hmm. It's interesting because I make everything homemade. And I love to bake, absolutely love to bake. I mean, I bake everything. One of my friends asked me to make her some homemade fudge, and I will be honest with you, I have not made homemade fudge. So that's going to be, I told her I would make it for her. So that's going to be an experience to make. But I love to make everything homemade. My husband's diabetic, and that's the reason I started making everything homemade. My son growing up was ADHD, and the doctor said eliminate the dyes. And I will tell you, when you start looking at the cereals, when you start looking at a lot of the things, there's so much dye in everything. So I figured, you know what, let me learn how to make it on my own. And I make so much. Let's see. Something's off. I don't know what it is. Try some more powdered sugar. Try some more butter. Butter is a thickening agent. Maybe that will help with the taste. I'm not happy with the taste of this, I'll be honest with you. Let me add in a little bit more vanilla. See if that helps with the taste. I always like to clean as I go. I can't stand a dirty kitchen at the end of cooking. I always try to encourage my daughter to clean as she goes. As well, she's turning out to be quite the baker as well, and she's learning how to cook as well. Let me taste this one. See if it tastes any better. Like I said, you can use as much powdered sugar as less as you like for taste. Even though the recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of vanilla, you can put more in for taste. It calls for a little bit of butter just for the flavoring, basically for the taste. The thing is the powdered sugar and the milk. I absolutely love decorating with sprinkles. I absolutely love decorating cookies. So I'm going to go ahead and get these decorated and ready for my husband's work tomorrow. Thank you for those who tuned in.